Today is June 1st, which means it's time for my May reading wrap up. I read 7 books last month and I'm going to quickly go through them now. First up we have Alpha Inmate by Liliana Carlisle. Don't ask me why this ended up on my TBR. I was just in the mood for a prison romance and this was a highly recommended one. I enjoyed the story, but I wouldn't say that it kept me gripped. And there wasn't as much spice as I thought there would be throughout. Next up we have Scarred by Emily McIntyre. I read Hooked at the beginning of the year and I hated it. But I have to say Scarred was 150% better. It's the fact that it's a slow burn romance for me, that is what made it, and I absolutely loved Tristan as an MC. I also really enjoy the anti-hero aspect of it as well. Next up is False Start by Elsie Silver. I spent pretty much all of April reading her Chestnut Spring series and the Gold Rush Ranch series, and A False Start was the final book that I needed to read of hers. I took a little bit of a break and came back to it at the beginning of May. It's a brother's best friend, grumpy sunshine, slow burn romance. It had every single trope that I absolutely love in a romance book and I could not put it down. Everything about it was fantastic and I absolutely adore Griffin. I just wanted to bundle him up and take him home with me. Next was Happy Place by Emily Henry. This is a second chance romance and honestly it was fantastic. I could not have enjoyed it more. I honestly think I loved it more than all of her other books combined. I think for me it was not only these characters had something going on like in their own lives and their own personal development, but it was also like the friendship dynamic that they all had. It made the book for me, whereas a lot of Emily Henry's other books have been really heavily focused on just the MCs, which I don't think worked as well as it does when you bring in external characters too. Next, I read Priest by Sierra Simone and I was so disappointed. It was literally just a book filled with smut scenes and absolutely no plot. I couldn't stand Tyler and I did not care about Poppy in the slightest. It was a heavily spicy book, but it just had no substance. Next, I read Sinner by Sierra Simone, which is book 2 in the series. I decided to give this one a go because I'd heard from a lot of book talkers that it was a lot better than Priest, so I wanted to see what the hype is about. And this lived up to the hype. I love a best friend sister and a forbidden romance trope, so I think this was always going to be right up my alley. Sean and Zenny's relationship combined with the amount of spice in this book was just chef's kiss. It was honestly fantastic. I did still find myself rolling my eyes at various points throughout the novel, which is why I rated it 4-star, not 5-star. But overall, I had a good time. The last book I read this month was Saint by Sierra Simone, which is the last book in the series. This book is an absolute work of art. It's an romance, which I absolutely love, and Aiden and Elijah are my OTPs now. I did hate how long it actually took them to talk through what broke them up 5 years prior to when the novel started, but everything else was so perfect I was willing to overlook that. If you decide to read anything by Sierra Simone, let it be this book. You will not regret it. And that is everything that I read in May. Let me know your thoughts on any of the books that I read this month, whether you agree with me or not in the comments. I'll see you later.